The film begins somewhere in Germany, where we see Malina, our main character, trapped inside a car trunk. She is disoriented, unsure of her location or how she ended up there, and soon realizes her legs are immobile. Just then she spots a shadowy figure approaching the car. Nearby, she notices her phone inside a plastic bag along with her belongings. As the man smashes the car's side view mirror, she swiftly grabs her phone. He tosses the mirror into the trunk and takes a swig from a whiskey bottle, while Malina pretends to be unconscious. He discards her belongings, not realizing she has her phone. Malina senses the car moving and, checking her phone, sees ultrasound photos sent by her pregnant sister Moan. She immediately calls her boyfriend Enno, but he doesn't answer. Then she sees Enno's cap in the trunk, worrying that he may be in danger. She desperately tries to open the trunk, but it doesn't budge. Soon, her sister Moan calls, excitedly talking about the ultrasound and how small the baby is. Malina interrupts, explaining she's been kidnapped and trapped in a car trunk, urging Moan to contact the police. Unfortunately, Moan thinks she's joking and accuses her of overshadowing her pregnancy news. Frustrated, Malina tries calling emergency services but finds her phone has no signal. Puzzled by her paralysis, she quickly deduces that she was injected in the spinal canal and drugged. Searching around, Malina finds her action camera in the trunk and plays footage from her recent trip with Enno, feeling nostalgic. She misses him and wonders if he's safe. Then she sees footage of their attack by the kidnapper. The man confronts Enno, then turns to Malina, who has a hidden camera, threatening her with a gun and forcing her to drink water, which likely caused her unconsciousness. He then places her in the trunk. At one point, Malina captures his face on the video and snaps a picture with her phone. Just then, Moan texts her a WikiHow article on escaping car trunks, frustrating Malina. She sends Moan a voice message explaining her seriousness, along with her location, but the signal cuts again. Reading the article, she attempts every escape method, like releasing the lock or pushing out the brake lights, but finds it harder than expected. The signal returns briefly, and she gets a call from her father but asks to call back. She contacts emergency services, speaking to an operator named Elisa, explaining her kidnapping and leg paralysis. Asked about her abduction, she recounts planning a South America trip with Enno, where they accepted a ride to the airport from their eventual kidnapper. Elisa asks if she remembers the vehicle details. Malina only recalls it as dark green, missing a right mirror. Elisa mentions they can't pinpoint her location, only showing the nearest cell tower. Malina's father calls back, so she pauses Elisa. He expresses worry, saying he got a concerning message about her. Disapproving of her relationship with Enno, he suspects they're using this to run away. Malina clarifies her actual danger, and he reveals an anonymous message demanding 250,000 euros for her release. He suspects it's a feud with a family named the Gabriels, but Malina disagrees. She sends him a picture of the kidnapper, urging him to notify the police, but he hesitates. He says he'll pay the ransom but fears being monitored and that calling the police might worsen her situation. Frustrated, she ends both calls. Using her phone's flashlight, she inspects her body and is horrified to find a large wound near her left waist, realizing she's been operated on and stapled back together, having lost substantial blood. In pain, she pours alcohol on the wound, stifling her screams. Suddenly, she overhears the kidnapper talking to someone, mentioning he's removed her kidney and will reach the location by 4:30 a.m., which is just an hour away. Malina then removes her shoe, determined to use her medical skills to stitch up her wound. To calm herself, she listens to an old voice message from Enno. In pain, she begins stitching her wound, threading her shoelace through each staple carefully. She hears Enno talking about his love for kids and his wish to have at least 3 children with her. Despite the pain, she secures the stitches with an earring, finally stopping the bleeding. Moments later, Elisa calls again and Malina tells her she might be missing an organ, suspecting they are organ traffickers. She also mentions overhearing the kidnapper arranging to be somewhere at 4:30 a.m. Elisa encourages her, saying she's doing everything she can to help. Suddenly, the car stops, and Malina realizes they may be at a gas station, so Elisa suggests she attract attention. Malina begins yelling for help, but soon the trunk opens, revealing the kidnapper. He tells her no one can hear her and orders her to stay calm, not wanting any noise. Elisa is still on the phone, so Malina starts screaming and discreetly hangs up. The kidnapper touches her wounds, causing more pain, and tells her to stay quiet before closing the trunk again. Frustrated, Malina screams, prompting him to play loud music to drown her out. Finally, Enno texts her, saying he's okay but being watched, making Malina happy. She informs Elisa, learning that Eno is also being held hostage. Elisa says they've tracked the gas station location and her colleagues are on their way. She adds that Malina's father provided a photo of the kidnapper, mentioning he had seen this man near his hospital 2 weeks ago. This makes Malina realize the kidnapper has been following her. Elisa asks about Malina's father's suspicions about the Gabriels, to which Malina admits that she made a mistake in surgery, causing a girl's death, leading the Gabriels to file a lawsuit against her. She shares how Eno supported her to return to work. To calm her, Elisa asks how she and Eno met, and Malina recounts that Eno passed out from drinking at a party, ending up in her care at the hospital. She adds that her family is against their relationship. During the conversation, Elisa suddenly screams, ordering roadblocks at multiple locations. Malina is alarmed, thinking her father is paying the ransom and questioning the need for roadblocks, but the call drops. Frustrated, Malina texts Eno to call the police and ask for an operator named Elisa. Moments later she finds tools in the trunk, using a tire tool to remove the taillight cover. She bangs on the taillight from inside, but the kidnapper increases the radio volume. However, she manages to break the taillight and sees outside. Malina then puts her hand out, calling for help, which is noticed by a man behind their car. He approaches to help, but the kidnapper runs him over and speeds off, causing chaos. Afterward, Malina tries calling Elisa again, but gets an error stating the number is unrecognized. She then receives a message that she's crossed into the Czech Republic, losing emergency services access. Elisa soon calls back from her personal number, asking if the highway accident was caused by her kidnapper. Malina confirms, feeling hopeless and fearing for her life. Elisa tries calming her, but Malina, frustrated, breaks a mirror. Realizing something, she uses a shard to view the license plate, memorizing and writing it with her blood. Suddenly, she gets a strange call from Eno, pretending to talk to her father, pleading for ransom for her safety. Shocked, Eno tells her he is also in a car, warning they might be killed if stopped by police. Shortly after, Elisa calls to inform her that the ransom was paid, but the kidnappers haven't responded, and the kidnapping has no link to the Gabriels. Elisa mentions roadblocks are in place, now just needing the license plate. Malina looks at the plate number, recalling Eno's warning, and decides not to share it. Moments later, she gets a text from Eno, urging her to stay silent so they have a chance to escape. They then arrive at a checkpoint, where a police officer questions the driver about the good-looking man beside him and asks to see their passports. Although this is her perfect chance to act, Malina listens to her boyfriend and stays silent. Next, the kidnapper drives off and Malina reviews the camera footage again. To her horror, she sees Eno calmly following the kidnapper as she's placed in the trunk. Just then she gets a call from Elisa, who says they've spotted the car and her team is on the way. Malina then asks Elisa about the number demanding ransom from her father. When pushed, Elisa shares the number and Malina realizes it's Eno's. She's crushed to learn her boyfriend has betrayed her. Elisa then asks if Malina can hear water sounds, and Malina realizes they're on a ferry crossing a lake. Elisa's team knows her location but can't reach her. Malina feels hopeless, but Elisa urges her to hold on. After their call disconnects, Malina texts Eno demanding the truth. She hears someone get out of the car and receives a call from Eno, who finally admits to his role in her kidnapping. He apologizes, explaining that the plan was to release her after the ransom but that things spiraled out of control. Malina, devastated, asks why he did this, and Eno confesses he's in debt and caught up with dangerous people. She begs him to help her, offering her father's trust assets as ransom. However, Eno insists that giving her up is his only way out. Realizing she can't give up, Malina sends Eno a photo of her sister's ultrasound, claiming she's pregnant with his child, knowing he adores children. Eno asks if she's serious and Malina confirms, saying she planned to tell him during their vacation. She accuses him of being responsible for his child's death and hangs up, leaving him speechless. In the next scene, Eno sits with the kidnapper, suggesting they get more money by freeing Malina, but the kidnapper refuses, saying she's seen his face. As a last attempt, Eno reveals Malina's pregnancy, but the kidnapper is unmoved. Suddenly, Eno pulls the car's handbrake, causing a crash. As the trunk opens, Eno appears, but before they can talk, the kidnapper shoots him from behind, dumps his body in the trunk and sarcastically wishes her well. As they drive away, Eno dies in the trunk. Malina, heartbroken, begs him not to leave her and questions his betrayal. She finds a knife in his pocket and uses it to cut the mattress beneath her, gaining a view of the wheel. It's 4 minutes before 4:30 a.m. Malina records an apology video for her family. She admits her poor choices but explains she was just in love. She tells Moan she would have loved to meet her child. She assures that if she dies, it's not Elisa's fault and asks to share her message with Elisa. Malina then takes one last chance to save herself. She reaches for the toolbox, inserting a metal rod into a wheel. This causes the driver to lose control, sending the car into the lake. Water floods in, and as the drugs wear off, Malina regains feeling in her leg. She breaks through the back seat, swimming past the unconscious kidnapper. Emerging from the shattered windshield, she surfaces. As the police arrive, the film ends.